On the early morning of July 5th, 2009, at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, two monorail trains collided head-on on the resort's transportation and ticket center track. Monorail Pink, carrying passengers back to the parking lot after the park closed, was traveling forward on the express beam. Monorail Purple was backing up on the same beam after a track switch malfunction. The two trains, each weighing several tons and traveling at significant speed, collided with devastating force. The impact killed 21-year-old Austin Wuechner, the pilot of Monorail Purple, who was trapped in the front cab of his train. He was crushed instantly. This was the first fatal accident in the 38-year history of the Walt Disney World monorail system. The crash exposed serious failures in communication, training, and safety procedures of what was supposed to be one of the safest transportation systems in the world. This is the story of the Disney monorail crash, a preventable tragedy that shattered Disney's perfect safety record. The Disney monorail system. The Walt Disney World monorail system has been operating since 1971, when the resort first opened. It's an iconic part of the Disney experience, the sleek, futuristic trains gliding silently above the resort, transporting guests between parks, hotels, and parking areas. The system consists of three separate beam routes: Express Beam, non-stop between the Transportation and Ticket Center, TTC, and Magic Kingdom Resort. Beam stops at Disney Resort hotels. Epcot Beam connects TTC to Epcot. The monorails run on elevated concrete beams guided by a concrete guideway. Each train has 6 cars and can carry approximately 360 passengers. They're piloted by cast members, Disney's term for employees, who operate from cabs at the front of each train. For 38 years, the monorail system had operated without a single fatality. It was considered one of the safest mass transit systems in the world. Disney took great pride in this safety record. That record ended on July 5th, 2009. July 5th, 2009, after midnight. The incident occurred in the early morning hours after the Magic Kingdom had closed for the night on July 4th. The last guests were being transported back to the parking lot of the Transportation and Ticket Center. The monorail system was preparing to shut down for the night, which involved a complex procedure of moving trains between beams using track switches. The people involved: Austin Wuechner, Monorail Purple pilot. Austin was 21 years old and had been working as a monorail pilot for about 2 years. He was well liked by colleagues and took his job seriously. He was piloting Monorail Purple that night. Monorail Pink pilot. The pilot of Monorail Pink survived the crash and was not at fault for the collision. Central coordinator. A coordinator in the central tower was responsible for directing monorail movements and operating track switches. This person's errors would prove fatal. The track switch. The accident occurred at a track switch called Switch 9 inches near the Transportation and Ticket Center. This switch allowed trains to move between the Express and Epcot beams. At the time, Disney's procedure required Monorail Purple to back up from the Express beam onto the Epcot beam so it could be parked for the night. This required: 1. The central coordinator to change Switch 9 to the correct position. 2. Visual confirmation that the switch had moved properly. 3. Authorization for Purple to back up. What went wrong? Around 2 a.m. on July 5th, the central coordinator attempted to move Switch 9 to allow Purple to back onto the Epcot beam. However, the switch malfunctioned and didn't move to the correct position. Critical error number 1. The coordinator failed to properly verify that the switch had moved. Disney's safety procedures required visual confirmation, but this wasn't done adequately. Critical error. Number 2. The coordinator gave Monorail Purple permission to back up, even though the switch was in the wrong position. Critical error. Number 3. Unknown to the coordinator and to Austin in Purple, Monorail Pink was still traveling forward on the express beam, heading directly toward Purple's location. Austin began backing Purple up on what he believed was the Epcot beam. In reality, he was backing up on the express beam directly into the path of the oncoming Pink. The collision. At approximately 2 a.m., Monorail Purple, backing up, and Monorail Pink, traveling forward, collided head-on on the express beam. The collision was catastrophic. Both trains were traveling at significant speed when they hit. The impact crushed the front cab of Monorail Purple where Austin was seated. Severely damaged the front of Monorail Pink, threw passengers to the floor. Created a sound described as like a bomb going off. Austin Wuechner was killed instantly. He was trapped in the crushed front cab of Purple and died from the impact. There was nothing he could have done. He was following the coordinator's instructions and had no way of knowing Pink was on the same beam. The Pink pilot and passengers suffered minor injuries, cuts, bruises, and shock, but survived. The aftermath. Emergency services responded immediately. The scene was chaotic. 2 damaged monorail trains suspended on the beam. 1 fatality, injured passengers, and shocked witnesses. Austin's body had to be carefully extracted from the wreckage. His death shocked the Disney community and devastated his family and friends. The monorail system was shut down for investigation. Disney guests had to use alternate transportation for days. The investigation. Multiple investigations were launched. Disney Internal Investigation, National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, Florida authorities. The NTSB findings were damning. Primary cause: the Central Coordinator's failure to properly verify the position of Switch 9 before authorizing Purple to back up. Contributing factors: 1. Inadequate procedures. Disney's switch verification procedures were insufficient too. Poor communication. No clear communication between Coordinator Purple and Pink about train positions. 3. No collision avoidance system. The monorail had no automatic system to prevent trains from being on the same beam. 4. Training failures. Coordinators weren't adequately trained on the critical importance of switch verification. 5. Fatigue. The coordinator had been working a long shift. 6. Normalization of deviation. Shortcuts in safety procedures had become routine. Disney's response. Disney was devastated by the accident. For a company that prided itself on safety and had operated the monorail for 38 years without a fatality, this was catastrophic. Disney implemented numerous changes: complete overhaul of monorail safety procedures, enhanced training for coordinators and pilots, installation of additional safety systems, changes to switch verification procedures requiring multiple confirmations, limits on coordinator shift lengths, installation of cameras to visually monitor switches, enhanced communication protocols. The coordinator involved was fired. Disney reached a settlement with Austin's family. Austin's legacy. Austin Wuechner was just 21 years old. He loved working for Disney and was proud to be a monorail pilot. He died doing his job, following instructions he had every reason to believe were correct. His death was entirely preventable. If the coordinator had properly verified the switch position, or if Disney had better safety systems, or if there had been clear communication about train positions, Austin would still be alive. His family created a foundation in his memory focused on safety awareness and education. The lessons. The Disney monorail crash teaches several critical lessons. Procedures must be followed exactly. Safety shortcuts, even on routine operations, can kill. Verify, don't assume. The coordinator assumed the switch moved without confirming it. Technology can prevent human error. Automatic collision avoidance could have stopped this. Communication is critical. Everyone needed to know where every train was. Fatigue kills. Long shifts reduce alertness during critical operations. Perfect safety records can breed complacency. 38 years without incident may have led to overconfidence. Conclusion. On July 5th, 2009, at 2 a.m., 2 Disney monorail trains collided because a coordinator failed to verify a track switch position before authorizing a train to back up. 21-year-old Austin Wuechner was killed instantly, crushed in the cab of his train. He was following instructions. He was doing his job. He trusted the system to keep him safe. That trust was betrayed by human error, inadequate procedures, and safety shortcuts. Disney's 38-year perfect safety record ended in the worst possible way with a young employee's death. The changes Disney made after the crash have improved safety, but for Austin Wuechner, those changes came too late. Rest in peace, Austin. You deserve better. Disney failed you. May your death serve as a permanent reminder that safety procedures exist for reasons, that shortcuts kill, and that even the happiest place on earth isn't immune to tragedy when safety is compromised.